Where do you interrupt Wagner? I mean, I guess that's the whole point. Like, he's a guy. He came up with a way of composing that can't be interrupted. It's like the endless argument. Welcome to Mr. Opera, and also the New School Singer, and also welcome to This Is Opera. If you're here from This Is Opera, we've got both channels able to send messages in the live chat, and when I choose to, I can have those up on the screen, and just be civil to each other. So far, everyone is civil to each other. I noticed that the people who watch the Mr. Opera channel tend to be more intelligent. But no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so today I have some viewer requests to watch, and then nothing in particular planned. I think if someone has something that they want to take a look at, maybe try sending me the link at oh no, where did I put that? At therealmropera.com. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Well, it's not working. Anyway, maybe. Yeah, there it is. therealmropera@gmail.com. Send me an email there, but then let me know in the live chat that you sent something there that you want to take a look at. And we can take a look. But this is from viewer Tony Link. Linka. Tony Linka. Yeah. We've never met. I don't know him at all. But he had these suggestions to watch. The first is going to be, it's a master class with this Fischella gentleman and Andrew Owens, a tenor from the USA. Then we've got a couple of videos of Gregory Kunda, because we're talking about this whole Fach thing. You know, is it a real deal that a singer should be concerned about? Or if you're of the same mind as me, is Fach maybe just, it's a casting tool maybe, or is it just a casting tool that really should concern people who need to organize a bunch of singers and need to take some kind of shortcuts because they've got a whole lot of singers to keep organized, that they're going to be casting in different things or otherwise needing to organize. And so you have something like Fach as a tool for casting agents and other people who are involved in organizing singers, as opposed to some kind of guide about what your essence is like, what your future should be, what your interests should be, how you should train, how you should plan your career, what you should sing, etc., etc. So that's an interesting topic. That's not, I guess it's not as obvious as you'd think. And I know that if you're out there in university, or even if you're out there in the kind of counterculture, the opera counterculture from like This Is Opera and other groups like that are trying to sound an alarm about the direction that vocal pedagogy has gone in, and what we're left with on opera stages, etc., etc. So these kinds of groups have a certain interest, and one of those interests is getting getting what they call old school singing back. And if we're going to be talking about this old school singing and what it is and what it isn't, we need proper terminology and we need proper understanding of how things work. And if we believe that the way things work is that everyone is born with a kind of fach, like a kind of predetermined type, and that type is very specific. So like not whether you're kind of a higher voice or a lower voice, but you know, down to what roles you should sing, etc., etc., and what you can develop into and what you can't develop into. If we're saying that all of that stuff comes from real causes, and we have these, you know, different camps disputing where it all comes from, what it all means, well, disentangling that is something we got to do. And yeah, so if you're on my side, I feel like this Fach thing is really just a tool for casting agents. And then if you're on the side of the opera counterculture, from This Is Opera, etc., maybe you feel that it's a real thing. And then also if you're on the side of what's normally thought of as modern teaching, then you probably also think it's a real thing. So I don't know where I stand there, kind of as a third option. So anyway, so Greg Kunda, then coming up after Greg Kunda, we're gonna have some Wagner. It's gonna be, 1 second, I'm gonna bring this up here. Just pulling up my notes. It's going to be Andreas Schäger singing Siegfried. So that's what's on the menu today. But before we get to that, let's talk about singers, stuff I hate.
Do you struggle with too much weight or heaviness as you sing higher, which ends up leaving you feeling strained and then your voice cracks? Or maybe you have a little bit of breathiness throughout your tone and you can't quite get enough connection, volume, and resonance in those lower notes. Perhaps you just have
So that's the... Whoops. Damn it.
All right, singers. Do you struggle with too much weight?
Now we're setting up with the straws here. One of the claims that are supposed to go with the straws. So if we're... Whoops.
What he can do, under what circumstances, with what accuracy.
So if we're going with that James Randi test there, the test here is, or whatever the claim here at least, is... Let's hear it again.
Heaviness as you sing higher.
Okay, well,
all right, singers.
Let's see which ones
do you struggle with too much weight?
We can actually evaluate, first of all.
Or heaviness as you sing. Singers, do you struggle with too much weight or heaviness as you sing higher?
Too much weight or heaviness. That's going to be hard unless we define what weight is.
Which ends up leaving you feeling strained and then your voice cracks, or maybe you have a little bit of breath.
So now we've got different things. We've got too much weight, we've got strain, and cracking. Okay.
Yes, throughout your tone, and you can't quite get enough connection, volume, and resonance in those lower notes. Perhaps you just have instability throughout your range. Volume and resonance, and a little bit of breathiness throughout your voice cracks, or maybe you have a little bit of breathiness throughout your tone and you can't quite get enough connection, volume, and resonance in those lower notes.
Breathiness,
perhaps
connection, volume, and resonance. This is a lot of things so far. Wait.
Have instability throughout your range.
Or just
maybe your
instability.
larynx.
I guess that goes with the cracking. Cracking would be instability.
a pitch and you only feel comfortable in the lower to mid part of your voice. Now, I've just described 3
It's okay.
different but very common voice issues that singers face. So if I described you in one of those, don't worry, you're not alone.
So
And in
basically,
the
okay, the way this works is she just basically described every single thing that just about every beginner is going to be complaining about. Basically everything. Hey Tony, how's the microphone? Are the levels good? And welcome. Glad you're here. Glad I'm here too. Oh, Martin Mueller as Cavaradossi, lucky you. 15 minutes, probably you're not gonna. Well, just leave. Just keep chatting. I'm sure Martin won't mind. Yell bravo for me. No matter how he does. Yeah. Anyway, back to this straw here.
3-part series, I'm going to address each of these voice issues, talk a little bit about why they happen
So
and
obviously,
what causes
we're gonna
them.
have a 3-part series on breaking all this down.
And I'm going to give you some practical exercises with the singing straw and then some vowels and consonants and affixes to help you improve and balance out your voice.
So along with the straw, there's going to be a whole bunch of things that would otherwise be thought of as voice exercises. So my question is what would be the effects of all those without the straw?
If you're new here, my name is Whitney Nicole, and I'm a
Probably
singer-songwriter,
really
vocal
good
coach,
effect on,
studio owner,
finances.
and creator of The Singing Straw, which is a helpful tool that helps singers around the world develop healthier, stronger, and more balanced voices. And if that sounds like something you're into, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because we put out videos every week on just that. I'll also link below for more information.
They've put out an infomercial
straw.
on the $70 straw every week.
So let's dive in.
Okay. But this video is actually going to tell us
We're going to start with what I see most in my voice practice.
Actually going to show us
that
what's the
cold,
issue here.
heavy, strained feeling that some singers get as they start to sing higher.
Okay.
This can often feel like your throat is squeezing or tight and you're about to crack, or it feels like it takes a lot of effort to make.
Those are actually really different. I don't think this one usually goes with the cracking.
Sound, but then that sound that's coming out isn't very vibrant or resonant. Now, this is common because as humans, we spend the majority of our time vocalizing in our speaking range. So even if you love to sing or you're a professional singer, you still spend more.
I don't think that's true. Well, I mean, we do use the speaking range a lot, but if you actually follow people around, they use actually quite a bit of range. Especially like girls that haven't seen each other for 5 minutes. I shouldn't. I'm not allowed to say that, but
time talking in your day than you spend singing. And we talk mostly in that lower, chestier driven sound. We don't walk around talking like this all the time, right? We're more in our lower.
I mean, I need to make it a clip now. I need to make this, well, that's got to be on the list of clips I need. But it's Si devo mai usare la voce di petto. That guy was actually walking around talking like that. So maybe
part of our range.
Part of his training.
And in this lower part of our range, there's a muscle called the thyroarytenoid muscle. We can abbreviate
here we
here
go.
and call
The
it
meat
the
of
TA
it.
muscle. And that muscle
Okay,
is more
the meat of the thing here.
engaged. When that muscle is more engaged, it thickens the vocal folds, so you get that heavier, thicker sound, which is great for when we're speaking or singing in our lower range.
It's true.
However,
it's great for when we're
as I've
speaking
talked
or
about
when
in other
we're
videos,
singing. I wish you'd stop there. Yeah.
as we start to sing higher, our vocal folds need to stretch and move faster. And another muscle kicks in called the cricothyroid
so she gets
muscle.
one true for move faster, one untrue for they need to stretch, because that's one way you can create more tension on the vocal folds. But the other way is the way that she was just describing. where you keep the TA from stretching, and you increase the pressure. You'll increase the frequency. She's also describing not being good at that. And then the solution for that, that's often actually recommended, is called practice. Yeah, anyway. But the way to
helps with that
practice is to do the things that you're not good at. But she's about to recommend using a straw instead.
And stretch. So what happens when we start to feel that pulling sensation, that straining feeling, it means that TA muscle is hanging on too long. It's too powerful.
That's not true. All right. So if you have a kind of general lack of coordination at something, and you try to do it, and you get kind of close, or you have some things are working, right? But you're not quite secure. Well, then a whole bunch of surrounding muscles that you could say they're not quite sure if they're needed or not. Or rather, what you could say is that because the skill is not yet developed, the coordination isn't quite there. Your brain knows that things aren't particularly safe at the moment. So what does it do? It tells a whole bunch of surrounding muscles, stabilizing muscles, if you will, to maybe not just even get ready, but to engage a bit and to start working to keep things from getting out of control. And that's a totally normal part of learning to do something new, especially things like where you have a combination of some power and skill at the same time. It's difficult to create opportunities to build the precision and the power at the same time. And you tend to, the last thing that happens is any kind of relaxation. And you get this relaxed feeling sometimes because you gave yourself a cue not to use a whole bunch of muscles that you don't need anymore. But I've never seen anyone actually establish skill and then relaxation by working on these external muscles or extrinsic muscles as the process to try to get them to stop working, right? That's just a consequence of not being needed. So anyway,
muscle isn't quite strong enough to kick in and take over. And we really need that muscle to stretch.
So she said the CT muscle, let's go with that again.
Muscle is hanging on to sensation, that straining feeling. It means that TA muscle is hanging on too long. It's too powerful, and that CT muscle isn't quite strong enough to kick in and take over. And we really need that muscle.
I don't know if that's, I can't say if that's true or untrue, that the CT muscle isn't strong enough. That sounds fishy to me. I don't know of any studies even measuring the strength of those muscles. I'm not sure that like strength is the issue. Is what determines whether or not the vocal folds are going to stretch, certainly when it comes to resisting stretch from the CT, I can see that being an actual fitness issue. But even then, I'm not sure that the TA has all that much potential for getting any beefier and stronger. I can see the ligament getting beefier and stronger. I can see ligament getting stretched, like if you're using these straws or whatever. If you're stretching it for any reason. But I can't. I don't know. There's something to look up, and I don't know that anyone's actually researched if there's anything like your TA muscles getting bigger, in the sense that like your legs will get bigger if you squat a lot of weight, if you do a lot of squats. So I don't, and I just don't know that these coordinations come down to whether the TA or the CT, that's the thyroarytenoid and the cricothyroid muscle, whether one is pulling harder than the other.
To stretch. So this can lead to all kinds of problems, including tightness, cracking, straining, and even vocal injury. So if you're noticing this feeling in your
that's I don't think that's true. I just don't think that people are having issues because they can't stretch their vocal folds. There's this coordination things. And then if we're talking about cracking, as far as I know, that's from when you're crossing between two pitches, and on the first pitch you had some kind of nonlinear interaction that was stabilizing the pitch. So let's say, to make it simple, something about your vowel, the vowel itself, was stabilizing your vocal folds. And now you go and you change the pitch. But for one reason or another, maybe you can't. Maybe you just can't. For one reason or another, you don't change your vocal tract to keep up with the tuning. So you retune your vocal folds, but you don't retune your vocal tract in lockstep with exactly the same timing. What you wind up doing is that nonlinear interaction, that interaction between the vocal tract and the vocal folds that was stabilizing your vocal folds, the vibration of the vocal folds, now interferes with the vibration of the vocal folds. And you get this cracking. You get this instability. Well, that's instability, though. That's
voice. It is really important to start addressing it with exercises to balance out your voice as soon as you can. So grab a singing straw and let's sing. The key to balancing out a straining voice is to strengthen that upper register and that CT muscle.
The key to balancing out... That's just garbage. It's, what can I say? It's like a non-statement.
Hang with the powerful TA muscle that you've already got super strong because you use it all the time when you're talking. So we are going to do some exercises that do...
Okay, so that's bullshit. Your TA is probably not strong enough. If you're trying to do strong singing, powerful singing, your TA is not strong enough. There's just no, and it's not getting better at resisting stretch from talking, because when you're talking in a modal range, in the speech range, you're not putting the stretch on in the first place that you could resist. So why, you wouldn't be training that. Which is why nobody gets good at like fuller density high notes from talking all day. You have to actually practice those things. And you also don't get good at making a big sound, especially on higher notes, by singing into a straw.
You just
Well,
that.
and that's
Starting
why you
with
don't see that.
sirens on the top with your straw. You guys know this one because I love it.
Anyway,
this is just
that's
like
all. I wanted to just watch that because she actually does. She does explain what the straw does, which is that it encourages you to stretch your vocal folds. It encourages the CT muscles to win. Let's say if there is this balance between CT and TA, then this encourages the cricothyroid to win, and it encourages you to adjust your vocal tract in what ways are now left to you so that you'll get this stable phonation with the straw, which is made easy for you in the first place. And then when you take the straw out of your mouth, you're going to be more likely to keep some of those things than not. And one of those things will be this early stretching of the vocal folds. And that's true. But where it's all bullshit is the idea that that's actually what you wanted in the first place. It's just, unless you're singing soprano in a choir, and it's not a gospel choir, then probably that's not what you wanted. It's just not. Anyway, let's move on.
fire.
I'll stop this here, move forward. Okay, so this was the meaty part, and it's too bad Tony's not here. But he's watching Martin Mueller, so I mean, I would rather be watching Martin Mueller than with you guys. No, I'm just kidding. You guys are great. But anyway. So this is Andrew Owens and Salvatore Fischiella in a masterclass. Oh, and a pianist. But I can't see. I don't know who that is. And the deal here is they're coaching Que gelida manina. And let's see, wait, what happened? I have no sound. 1 second, guys. Oh, I see. That would explain the lack of sound. Okay. Oh, that's too loud. Alright, so this is normal masterclass setup. Not much to say about that. The guy's gonna sing, and then another guy's gonna say stuff and look like he's teaching. Okay, sounds lovely. Oh, that's really interesting. Fischiella showed a really quite different position. I mean, other than the arms things, which it's whatever. 1 second, if I can actually. Today I should be able to draw on the screen. Let's see if this works here. Just test it out. So, yep, there's Salvatore Fischiella, and then Andrew Owens. Yes, okay, I can clear all this off. Perfect. So, what I would point out is that Andrew's using a much overall smaller mouth position to get the same vowel. And when and Fischiella demonstrates it. Let's take a look. Very, very. If you even look at how the ch sound is produced, it's a very different way to even get the ball rolling. It's the way I like to explain it is that the way Andrew does this is he sets the envelope to a dark setting. I'm going to explain what this even means in a second. And then inside the letter, he puts a bright envelope. With Fischiella, he's setting a bright envelope, and then inside that envelope, he puts a dark letter. When you put the two together, the letter and the envelope, you wind up with essentially the same message. But it's a very, very different way to get there. So, hi, Olivia, and welcome. Yeah, so I would say, there's a couple things about whether. So, if you're asking if they're pulling the tongue back, right? So, if I do like a vocal tract, then this is really approximate. I'm just making like a tube, right? So, if you look at this area, which I call number 2, right? It goes from the end of the this is the mouth over here, and I hope you can see that. Okay, I'm going to redraw it and put it in an easier place to see, which is over here on the wall. So, oops. Let's put my... Okay. So, this end down here with the X is, let's say, where the larynx is. And then, like all this in here is going to be... It's going to be tongue. Let me start over. Jeez. This is hard, guys. Okay. So I call this area number 3 over by the larynx. I call this number 2, where the opening is, the mouth. And then 2/3 of the way, I call number 5. And then 1/3 of the way, I call number 4. When you push the tongue towards number 5, you're gonna brighten the sound in the sense that you'll be raising F2, the second formant especially. So both of these guys, to make their eh sound, are doing that to some extent towards number 5. But where is number 5 is different in both cases. And especially what's going on at area of interest number 3 near the larynx is really different. So Fischiella from let's say I do 2 of them, right? On top, let's say, is Fischiella's vocal tract. Oops. Okay. Reset this. I can even do different colors. Okay. Well, that's not a different color. It's not giving me different colors. Okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, there's the different colors. Okay. um. Okay. So let's say Fiscilla is more open at that end and more narrow. And let's say that Owens well, this is getting crazy with the different colors here. I probably shouldn't have done this. Okay. And now Owens is more narrow at the end and more open. So second. Okay. At area number 3, and I'll change this color back to black here. Just making a mess. Okay. I'm just making a mess. Let's start over. I'll just put one vocal tract and then I'll just represent these as two different charts. So 5, 4, and 3. And then the whole thing is area number 1. Okay? So for Owens, 3 is lower. 2 is lower. And then he gets to where he needs to be by having 5 and 4 higher. And with Fiscilla, he's got 3 higher. You can see it. I can hear it. Oh, sorry. You can hear 3. 2, sorry for, is higher. You can see it. It's his mouth opening. Right? And that leaves him with 5 and 4 that need to be lowered. And that's the difference essentially there. It puts Owens, well, it doesn't put him there, but it's, shall we say, related to or a consequence of Owens being in a more reduced density coordination or set of coordinations. He's using a more reduced density strategy. And he actually he's stretching his vocal folds a lot more than Fiscilla. So if he wants to make his sound more like Fiscilla, he's got to find a way to resist the stretch of the vocal folds. And then he would have to find a new way to articulate and make his vowels with this new way of setting up the vocal folds. Yeah, that's right, Olivia. Because you have a particular vowel in mind, that starts to take away some of your options. Like, you can't do with your tongue really retracted into area of interest number 4. Or, well, you can a little bit, but you'll have to make up for it by having enough constriction in area of interest number 5. And then if you wind up opening your mouth more, for instance, and you therefore raise all the resonances of the vocal tract, you're gonna have to, if you for some reason wanted your second formant where it was, now you're gonna have to do something about it, like put your tongue into area of interest number 4, or maybe you're going to try to get a little bit of larynx lowering out of your vocal tract, maybe by using your arms even, and your shoulders and chest and the shape of your rib cage, whatever you can do to squeeze just a little bit of length out of your vocal tract without changing anything else. And then you could lower all the resonances of your vocal tract just a little bit that way. So, etc., etc. And then those are only the acoustic considerations. With all of these options that you have come with also geometric or physiological considerations. You know, like something that's open can't be closed at the same time. And if you wanted that open for some reason, well, now you've got to deal with it. There's going to be, consequences and effects, and it's going to preclude other choices, possibly, or it's going to force some other choices. This, I think, and I don't know. I don't even know if I should point this out. This. What? What time is it? He's like looking to see if it's lunch. I guess, but I don't know. I don't particularly like that. Oh, I guess he's fixing the pen. There's no direction so far. Okay. So space. At this, this is a big opening, but there's other, I would say, important things to note that may not seem necessarily consequential, but I think if you're playing with them, especially like if you're trying to make a bigger sound, don't skip something like this. So Fischiel is doing this demonstration, and it's really good to keep in mind that he's got this rounding of the upper back there. So that if you're going to be, especially if you're going to be imitating his gestures, take a look in the mirror, and when he's starting there, when he's going there, winding up there, whatever, especially if you're doing what he does with his shoulders and arms, and also what he does with his neck, his head rotation, keep in mind that goes with this rounding in the back. And that if you're not rounding the back like this, some of what he's doing with his arms may get you really different results, like maybe the opposite results. Yeah, just something to keep in mind that I've learned through hard years of experience. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we have you start rounded, right? And then scapular retraction. But it's over this, you think of it like this makes like a shelf. And then he's going to pull the scapula onto that shelf. Think of it that way. You can also combine that with kind of dropping the pelvis, or you could say like tucking under. What do they call that? Nutating the sacrum, sacrum nutation, or tucking the tailbone, I guess. Yeah. But when you want to make sure that like this is gonna flatten a bit this curve, but do it with this scapular retraction. So kind of like as a consequence. So what happens? So as he actually goes, he opens the chest the whole way, right? But when he pulls back like this, he's not doing it over an extended upper back. That's gonna do the opposite. It tends to, I don't know why, but it lightens the voice. Right, so that, and then that's what I would, if I move myself over here. Oh, look, I'm between them. It's, of course, it's not the best angle because we can't see it. We can't see what's going on so well. But Mr. Owens looks like he's much more extended in his spine. So as opposed to so this is flexion or kyphosis. Let's see, Olivier Fat Mario. Yeah, I mean I would say that it does. I don't know about going against exhaling, but I think it does do something like that. It does, yeah. It does do something like slow down the trajectory of the breath, I guess. Or I don't know exactly how it works, I have to say. What I can tell you is that if you do it and instead of being this way, the spine is this way, it gets very, very, very different results. Maybe I guess it goes with the exhale instead of against it. And it doesn't help. Well, I mean, it doesn't help when you're trying to be beefier. So, we look at his demonstration. Oh, wait. Let's watch his demonstration. Watch where he starts. So there's no starting with a sort of smaller position and then expanding. He's arriving on the note in this already big mouth opening, this big position. So Olivier's asking, does bringing the shoulders forward and curving the spine effectively increase chest volume? No, I don't think so, but I think so if you have it depends on where is the spine starting. Is it a more flexed, like you could say noble posture, right? Or is it more like noble posture, like what's the word, aristocrat? Or is it more like Tarzan? So, and Fischiella here is more like Tarzan in his upper back posture. His lower back posture is more like he's got anterior pelvic tilt, so I guess it's a little bit sway back or whatever. I don't know what it is. I'm not a chiropractor or whatever. But he's in a different starting position from Owens, right? So when you're in Tarzan, we could say that goes with overdrive, with opera overdrive. Not 100% of the time, but it tends to. And if you want to counter this Tarzan, which is more sending you like forward, it's more slumped over, then the counterbalance to that is what Fischiella is doing. So everything he's doing works. But I'm trying to explain why it works. And why Andrew Owens doing it in this situation is getting him different results. But he does, when he's more just as much as possible directly imitating Fischiella, as we'll see, he gets results that are closer to what Fischiella is intending, I think. And yeah, I think Tarzan does scream better, but the aristocrat, shall we say, is more efficient. The aristocrat can be nastier. Tarzan doesn't make the nastiest sounds. Right, so but what I wanted to point out is that the note doesn't start out in this more controlled mouth position where you've darkened the envelope and you're going to put a bright letter inside. If you want to try it, you can just if you leave as much of your vocal tract neutral as you can. Just try not to mess around with it too much. And you just go just open and close your mouth. You can notice that the more open position is brighter and the more closed position is darker. So let's say you wanted to make right? You wanted to make this vowel, or as close to that as possible. But now your mouth is, ah, ah. Well, you could pull your tongue back. And it gets close to that. What I did was, I had a brighter envelope. So I figured out what's a darker letter I could put in there. And then I still get my vowel. Because if I don't give my vocal tract something that will make something close to the vowel I'm thinking of, then my voice will basically refuse to obey what I tell it to do. It won't listen. It just won't do it. It'll do whatever it wants. Or some combination of what I want and what it wants.
Allargati. Punta e allarga. Dai, chi sono? Chi sono? Chi sono?
It's closer when he's closer to his positions. I don't see any of the fundamental differences being addressed, which is that you're starting with a different attitude altogether in, shall we say, area of interest number 3. Well, and number 2. You're too much is different to be able to get there by degrees. You have to, in my opinion, completely change the fundamental phonation first and then learn how to articulate, rather than start with the articulation and then try to fiddle with the phonation around that articulation, right? If you think about how we do it in classical singing, it's the opposite. We give people repertoire and we expect them to sing repertoire. So they're going to have to come up with vowel solutions. So it's a thing we ought to think about, that when performing is really important, but at the same time, when classical singers are performing, they're practicing the vowel solutions that they're using. And if those are not the actual target vowel solutions, then you should have some program for what the difference is and how you're going to manage the transition.
Chi son? Chi son? No, troppo. Al contrario, chi son? Chi son? È piano l'altro. Chi son? Chi son? Sono un poeta.
The biggest thing. I'm gonna say something about it.
Come vivo, e come vivo. Mai volgare, eh? Vediamo! Sempre nel contesto. Ok.
Well,
Rarefatto.
he showed the biggest difference.
Volgare, eh? Vediamo! Sempre nel contesto. Ok. Ancora. Rarefatto.
He demonstrated what's the biggest, like really acoustically, the biggest thing to point out, if the goal is to do it more like, I don't know that that's the goal, by the way. I mean, I'm assuming the goal here is to learn how to sing this Fiscala's way. I mean, that would be my goal. But so I'm just projecting here. But the biggest thing is that you have shorter vocal folds with Fiscella, and then a whole string of consequences for Owens that have to do with that. So, for instance, the basic production Owens uses is eight vowels out of 10 are nasal, or they're not that they have a nasal sound, quote unquote. You know, I'm not saying that he sounds like this. But the velum is open and it's pretty clear. It's not like it's ambiguous, and that's done generally to make the sound more manageable, and it makes it lighter. When you open the velum, it takes resonance away from, it dampens resonances. It's like anti-resonance. So it makes everything more manageable. So let me see. He's only, yeah, that's right. When he's, I think it's more like when he's imitating Fiscella, he's singing more things more his way. And there's an interesting thing that happens is that the same math that gets in his way when he's got his mouth more closed is now at his back. It's helping him when he's got his mouth more open, because his brain goes and figures out ways to use the vocal tract to make the vowel using what's left. What are the remaining things that I can actually move? So it basically does them. He's got most of the capabilities. It sounds like he does some of his high notes with more density, so there's no reason he can't keep them short the whole way. With 10 minutes rest, probably, it sounds like his vocal folds are a bit stretched out. I know that situation all too well. So that's starting nasal. And then the first thing I would do is it's like, okay, open up the mouth more, and that's got to be not nasal to start with. You got to stop making it easier at the beginning of every note. No one does that. Yeah. And that's funny. So he Fiscella demonstrates how to say it, and his velum is open during his speech, but not when he's singing. But yeah, he's not addressing the open position, but he did say something at the beginning. He said spazio, but you're right. But there's no point moving. It's like there's no point doing anything else with the mouth this closed. So he's really coming off the voice. He's basically using a falsetto, right? But the mouth is still more open. So it's like he's making it. It's like all the positions would be for making a louder sound, and then he's just pulling back the air. It's actually simpler. And then Owens is using actually more pressure, and he's more, like tuning the timbre more technical. Those are a little too obviously nasal. That would have to be. But that goes with the mouth position. I think that's the same effect I get in the bottom of my voice when I'm shall I say overstretching the vocal folds. In the lower range there, you get this kind of fog. Terrifying. Been there many times. There he was just trying to retract the scapula, but the spine is already extended, right? So you can see it kind of takes the wind out of him, because it's like, God, it's supposed to make it more, and it's making it less, and it's demoralizing. So you can watch what happens with his face. He's like, oh, so that's the scapular retraction there. Trying to. And he's like, why? Why are you making me do this? It doesn't help. So there again, there's scapular retraction, and it's not helping, and it's like, why doesn't it help? And I think it's got to do with the two spines actually being in a different coordination, or in a different position. So probably what he wants to do is try to like expand the upper ribs, not up, but like straight forward, almost like making muscles with your pecs or something, to try to counteract this upward motion of the sternum, if you will. Which is, I mean, we get all these raising the chest cues and stuff, and it's great if your back is like Fiskella's. But if your back is like Andrew's, or like mine, then it's not great. First, you have to actually train first to put your back into Fiskella's position. Yeah, okay, so I don't know that Mario is showing him to smile. It looks like he's using I think with when you have the horizontal widening, it's never going to be as big an opening as you can get if you use maximum vertical. And then as you keep opening the jaw, you reduce the horizontal opening. But the horizontal opening is actually not that. It's not about like the total size. It's really actually about this. The shortest. I think it's like the shortest opening. So with horizontal, you're still measuring, I think, I don't know. We got to look this up. But definitely with this opening, the resonance is controlled at the opening of the mouth, are lowered compared to that opening. Yeah. I don't know about all the different openings. And if you look at something like this, for instance, well, I didn't just change the size in 2 dimensions this way and this way. Like on this plane, I also changed the length of my vocal tract. So, yeah. But generally with fuller density, you're not going to use the smile. That's going to be with reduced density. And usually the smile is going to be it's like reduced density, but I think relying less on nasality than what Andrew is doing. And possibly less. So Andrew is in, I think, this mode that Complete Vocal Technique calls curbing. He's in that mode a lot. The advantages are it's metallic, even though it's kind of half metallic. But the big advantage of curbing, well, it's relatively loud. It's not as loud as like what Fiscale is doing. Fiscale is using overdrive and edge. Well, and then neutral and the really soft stuff. But curbing can use any vowel. So when you have a tenor who's bragging about how he can sing any vowel on any pitch in his range, if he's metallic, then he's curbing. You can probably guess if he's curbing by looking at the repertoire. And if it's anything but super Baroque stuff, he's curbing. Anyway. So that's working more like what Fiscale is doing now. But still not as open, and you can hear they even wind up with different versions of the vowel, where Owens is now brighter. But they're working on details, I think. It's just I don't get it. That was again the closing of the mouth, the collapsing of the mouth, if you will, kind of counteracts all of the extra effort. So, and that's the thing to check out there. That works way better when the area of interest number 2 is more open. But then it's just like, now you have to articulate, and it's hard. Now it's more closed. Okay, so he's going to hit this more closed. But then he's going to open it more for the ah. And when he does, we can hear that the pitch catches with more density. There's more meat to it. So it's a little less practiced, but it's more in the direction of Fiscale, I think. So it was, other than it was nasal. You take that out, and a lot of it was pretty well positioned, I think. Just replace the nasality with twang, and it'll pick up a lot, I think. That's brutal when you're trying to get down there and the vocal folds are stretched out. That's the other thing here, is that like the number one thing he needs is like 10 minutes, 7 minutes maybe. It doesn't take that long, and the vocal folds will be in much better shape to keep working. So cheating to bare the teeth is really actually useful. This is one of those individual difference things, because people have different lip lengths and stuff. But when you pull the lips back, you can change what is the end of the vocal tract. So it goes from being the lips, to being the teeth. And your vocal tract got a little bit shorter. And I mean, there's no problem using the teeth. It's not cheating, I don't think. It's like, you should choose you should choose the best vocal tract length. And the way you get your vocal tract length should be by, I guess, you list all of the things you want to do in order of importance, and you try to check off the most important ones first. And then, you work your way down the list.
Belli, ruban tutti gioielli, quella.
No, dai!
Ruban tutti gioielli, quella.
I'll leave you. It's a little bit like the bell of the oboe versus the trumpet crossed with the slide of the trombone. So the baring the teeth has some of the effect of the slide of the trombone. It changes the whole length. It changes where area of interest number 4 and number 5 actually are. So by baring the teeth, for instance, you could change the acoustic address of your tongue without changing the actual position of your tongue, which means you change what effect the tongue has on the vowel by moving your lips, just by moving your lips over your teeth, because you changed what is now the total length of the vocal tract, therefore, which is area of interest number 1, therefore you changed everything else, where everything lies, where the number 4 and number 5 actually are. And acoustically speaking, if you move the tongue relative to area of interest number 5, or you move area of interest number 5 relative to the tongue, and you did them in opposite ways, you will hear the same resonance change. Yeah, that's right. Pursing your lips lengthens the vocal tract, and retracting the lips shortens it. Also, it's less, but if you just so this is a longer vocal tract than that. Just from opening the jaw like that, you shorten it. A shorter vocal tract is a big part of Fischiella's recipe here. He's shortening, but he's not shortening it by just raising the larynx. He retracts the neck. He opens the jaw, crazy amount, all kinds of things that shorten the vocal tract, other than just raising the larynx like that. That's what I was thought. This was basically a ventriloquist position. Right? That's what I would stop and be like, okay, you have to put the V in a position that works not with but with even if you're gonna go really quiet, then ventrar convoy, whatever you want to do. You can be super piano, you can be in falsetto if you want to, but you don't want to sounds leggero. It just sounds leggero. And it does for like acoustic reasons. And it's weird. It's like Craig Sirianni was mentioning last time. It is weird to articulate in these positions at first. But you get over that, I think. You just It's like you know, you learn a new language, and at first everything feels weird, but soon it starts to be something you do without thinking about it so much.
Non stringe, trova sempre solo largo.
So now he's, I mean, it's not nice. It's not. I think like, you know, if you're, I don't know, if you're getting up there and you're teaching people, like you should be on their side. So I don't really appreciate the way he's doing it, but he did demonstrate that one of the main issues with the coordination, the main difference is that Owens is singing with his velum open. But then the thing is that's a whole discussion about why. It's not like it's not enough to just say like, oh, your velum is open, you're a dork. It's not productive at all. The reason why his velum is open is because that vastly increases the manageability of all of these vowels. It does something for him that's functional, which is, you know, if we're talking about, we have, let's see. Oh, where's my, oh, let's see, wait. Okay, there it is. Yeah, we got position, motion, and attitude. Boop. So the attitude of this is, I guess, what's the thing you got to get at in the end. We're looking at position. We're looking at specific positions of specific things, right? And then it's like getting from there to motion would be, for instance, looking at how the sound k, just making the k sound, has a relationship to the vowel that comes before it and the vowel that comes after. Those are going to be 3 positions. When you put them together, you have 2 motions. Well, 3 motions, I guess. Well, it's 2 motions? What is that? It's 2 motions, I guess. So that's important. But then the attitude of the thing is what I'm getting at when I talk about the dark envelope and the bright letter, or the bright letter and the dark envelope. So the way of articulating the I guess the concept of articulation, but once you've worked with it for quite a while, you know, the dance, it becomes kind of like a dance. And Fiskela is doing one dance, and Owens is doing a completely different dance. And they both have like left, right kind of thing, and they both have steps. And we can recognize both of them as dancing, but they're really different dances. Let's watch a bit more. So he gets his head rotation into the act of, so if I want to open my jaw a lot, well, I can open it a lot like this, right? But then if I have my back kind of rounded, I open my jaw into this space, and then I rotate my head a little bit, I get even more opening and even more vocal tract shortening. And that's what he seems to be using, and then it's a shame here that he's not showing that to Owens, that they're not going over this stuff. Instead, he got laughed at a little bit for being nasal, and then it never actually. I'm not sure he was told that he was actually nasal. Now the mouth is. Let's see what Fischiella was doing. So with the E, take a look with the E. Because even with the E, there's no air. There's no gap between the teeth and the lip. It's basically closed mouth. And then if we look at Fischiella again. Very big. It's a very different position. Right, so he's shushing him. But so I'm not saying that you can't sing quieter with a bigger mouth opening. Fischiella is just doing a different dance where he doesn't, shall we say, make back pressure with the mouth opening and then push into that to make a kind of system that works, that has some good strength to it, but doesn't have the potential for being really big. So it has some strength. It has some of the advantages of the neutral vocal mode in the sense that you can use any vowels, but it has these limits that come with that. Really, really kind of strong limits to especially how much volume you can get out of this vocal coordination. Unfortunately, is like probably what he wound up getting told, and I bet you what he's telling others now, and maybe even teaching others, is that he's doing the same thing as Fischiella, but just his voice is different. He's genetically different. And I don't buy it when there's so many things you can point to that are different. And then when you can point to really, really good acoustic theories for why those would be significant things, why those would be so important. I don't know. Well, I guess he's got to do something for the master class, Olivier. But I don't know. I don't know if he's milking the moment. I don't know. I don't know why it seems like the relevant stuff isn't being covered. He's certainly not known for being super nice, so he could, and he made jokes at him for being nasal. I think it's just, I don't know. I don't know if he has a way for, I don't know what's up with this.
Un acuto così non significa niente. Manca lo sviluppo, manca la vibrazione giusta, manca tutto, perché è troppo forte.
Troppo forte.
Punta e allarga sulla laringe.
So he's saying it's, I don't know, I don't get it. Saying it's too loud, I think. Did I get that right? But the issue is more that the production is by and large not in the it's not in the Fach in this case. It's not in the compositional parameters, I guess. It's like it just, I don't know, it just calls for a different kind of singing. Unfortunately, that's explained as like you got to be a different type. I think he's perfectly fine type, handsome guy with a good voice. Totally could do Rodolfo as good as anyone can sing Rodolfo. But he's technically not doing anything similar to what Fischiello is doing. And then those things that Fischiello is doing would get him a lot closer. Well, he would have to be doing those things to get this sound that he's got in mind for the Rodolfo. And it seems like that is also his idea. Like I'm not just projecting here that I would like this to be not reduced density and nasal and curbing.
Non sulla forza.
Ok.
Non sulla forza addominale.
Ok.
Qua, sul collo.
So I don't know what he means. So saying on the larynx, on the, not with the abdomen, and then on the neck. Maybe he's asking for twang.
Understand?
Yeah, just let it
As
come
far as I know,
out.
they have this theory that it all comes from the larynx or something. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that. So you got a source and filter, so definitely everything comes from the larynx.
Per arrivare al forte hai tempo.
You have time to arrive at the forte.
But he's using a very, very different position. Let's look at that position. I need to do snapshots here. Where's the? I don't have a timestamp on it. This position versus this position. That's the most open he gets. But that's really where he's starting, right? And then this is what comes before. Right? Let's remember this.
Per arrivare al forte hai tempo.
And the larynx quite high, actually. That's why you can see the tongue so much.
You have time to arrive at the forte.
So let's see where he started. So yeah, the very first, right after that first, for the L, he's got the lips on the teeth, and then he retracts the lips as soon as he starts singing, and opens the jaw way open. He's rotating the head down.
Time to arrive at the forte.
Let's see. Can't tell what he's doing with his tongue. Seems to have it quite high, actually. Seems to have the larynx high as well. And then interesting, there's this vibrato involving the whole chin. So I think, I mean, well, definitely we can conclude that the larynx is involved in the vibrato, and that the chin is pinned to the larynx, probably with the mylohyoid muscles and things. And then you can see like the tongue is, you can see the tip of it. So there's a lot of retraction, I think, going on. But just like if you look at the mouth opening just in general for the phrase.
Time to arrive at the falsetto.
Gradualmente.
And we compare this.
Vai.
Sorry. Okay.
It's not fair. He should start from the same. Should start from there. So that's just not in the. So here we're not in the neighborhood, right? So something's already. It's just. It's fundamentally different. What we have, I think, is essentially like it's more traditional, like Italian professional school of singing. I won't even say it's. I mean, it's not that it's Italian. It's like there's different Italian schools of singing, I think. But Fischiella's singing looks like it was like, it looks like developed through practice and through like, I don't know, like you gotta get the job done. And people pass down ways to get the job done. And then Owen's, the way he sings, that came from universities and stuff. That was like someone thought up of that as a thing to teach. It's like I get the sense like nobody thought up of what Fischiella does as a system for teaching. It's just kind of like improvised, and what gets saved is stuff that works, and then stuff that doesn't work doesn't get saved. And then the actual things he's saying about how things work and stuff, it's just nonsense. So, I don't know. Yeah, it seems to me like a trial and error, like you're saying, Olivier, but then also just imitation. Just that it's a tradition of imitation. And when you try to like transplant it and you don't actually preserve all of the opportunities for imitation that traditionally went with that, you don't pass it down anymore. So I don't see him being able to pass down what he does with this nonsense that he talks about. I could see him turning Owens into a Fischiella, for instance. If Owens went and lived with Fischiella and had to do everything he told him, and just imitated him for like 2 years or whatever, then he would do it. I mean, look, it's like clearly intelligent singer, competent, like obviously. And when he's imitating Fischiella, he gets closer to what Fischiella is doing. So. Yay! What are we clapping for? I don't know.
This is not yet.
I don't know. Maybe that's enough of that one. Oh yeah, we should let him finish. It's nice. It's very nice. Just a different strategy.
se tu mi fai la terza espressione, perché sia secondo, respira mentre fai l'acuto.
Ok.
Attaccati.
Ok.
Fai che dura di più.
Breathe while you're doing the high note, which
Ed è
means
la terza espressione di cui io parlavo. Quella che si fa
Expand.
mentre si canta.
expand. Right. Heard that before?
I think I know what he's getting at. Yeah, I think I understand what he's getting at, but he's not in a position to do it. I don't know. Yeah, you just have to. I don't know how you would tell someone.
Vedi che dura di più. Vedi, hai respirato sì o no?
Sì.
Hai respirato te?
È un'espansione
Oh,
che non ho avuto.
Pensa bianco.
Perché mi conoscete, parlate voi.
He's a bit outside the genre, I get the. No, Olivia, I'm not sure. Yeah, he said to breathe on the note, but I think he's talking about creating, especially expansion in the back, and that actually that is possible. That's totally possible. You do this scapular retraction that he does, and then if you tuck the sacrum a bit, and you've got this coordination going. I don't know. I can't explain to you exactly how it works, but there is some kind of expansion that happens. But the thing is, as cool as it is, and as remarkable as it is, so like when it happens, you're like, whoa, what was that? That was cool. That's really cool. It's like expanding. If you tried to imagine it before the fact, before you were already doing it, and you tried to do it, all you would do is compress yourself somewhere. Because whatever expansion you wind up having in mind, it's going to be in some part. So if you think of yourself like a balloon, and you're trying to expand one part of the balloon, you're going to wind up compressing a different part of the balloon to do it. So that's what that is usually. And that's what he's winding up with. So Fiscale is telling him to expand, and so he's trying to say, like, expand his chest. Because Fiscale has the chest more collapsed, and the back more rounded. And when he goes for his high note, he can get this expansion by countering that. But Owens is already in that direction. So he's not going to get the expansion by countering in that direction unless he first puts his spine more in a situation like Fiscale's. Probably what he should work with is a different cue, but I think you would want both in the end to be able to do both. To sing with a more flexed spine, and then also start from a more expanded spine, more extended spine. Well, that's not really in the genre, but I mean, he's pretty tired there, and he needs a break. So let's not. We're reviewing Fiscale here. Yeah, that's right.
Lievemente, con poco fiato.
Ok.
Very little breath.
I mean, that's just doesn't matter. If you sang the whole aria, great. You basically just whisper this, and nobody cares. Okay. Now we have Greg Kunda, But I'm getting... I guess I'm just gonna end it here. Wait, first you have to watch. Let's take it. First, I'm gonna make you watch this. This. Yeah. Okay, that's enough of that. Where did I go? Well, my camera's gone. Well, what happened? Well, I mean, that's like an omen. I think that's telling us that it's time to go. So, this has been Mr. Opera, and sorry to disappear on you, but my camera just stopped. So, I'll see you guys later, and have a good weekend. I'll see you next week.
Straw.
It's just a straw, right?
It's not just any old straw. We've sized it very particularly, you guys.
So the SMBT Straw Pro comes with a minimum of 40 resistance configurations in one device.
And then we have 2 straws that are the exact same size, diameter, and length. And this is so that we have options.
After you've practiced the exercises for maybe 5 minutes,
you'll see here that the vocal cords aren't in sync with each other.
You have to put more work within the body to just get things going because the straw isn't providing you with enough.
press your voice like this. It is very important that you let no air escape around the straw between your lips or through your nose.
But the thing is with that, it cuts off the nasal resonance part of singing, which is very important to singing.
It's almost as if you're trying to release it out through the straw to whatever's in front of you.
You will find when you go back to normal speech that your voice seems to be coming out of your eyes instead of your throat.
If you are splashing yourself, you're creating volcanoes, and that is not allowed.
La